So we're back at the Innovation Alley podcast studio at Startup Winnipeg Site B at 321 McDermott Avenue in the Middle Exchange and on Innovation Alley. I'm Mike Legary. I'm here with Chris Johnson, Kerry Stevenson, and Matt Olsen from Lift Innovations. And we're here talking about the crowdfunding campaign around the Clipper. Now, there was that pitch day. We had a chance to talk with Jesse, who is actually featured in the Kickstarter Indiegogo video, the crowdfunding video. And I see you in the video. You're the behind the scenes guys. So welcome.
Hi.
And maybe can you give us a little background? What is Lift Innovations and what's the Clipper?
Well, Lift Innovations is a company we put together about 8 or 9 months ago, and it really was just we originally weren't sure if we were going to stick with just this one product SKU, but we wanted to create a company that kind of could bring in any new ancillary accessory products to the pretty rapidly expanding medical cannabis market and potentially recreational.
Just call it weed. Call it what it is. The listeners are saying medical cannabis. That sounds.
That's what my mom uses.
Sorry, Mom. Yeah, everyone's got glaucoma. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So it's it really came back to the lessons learned of building snowboards, and maybe we should look at markets that aren't shrinking 8 to 12% a year, and look at the markets that are growing by 8 to 12% a year. So that was, kind of the starter point of it, and looking at things that really haven't changed, and the fact that the branding and the distribution marketing of a lot of these things is pretty old school, just because it's been in this kind of like counterculture, gray market funk. And now that that's sort of changing, that brands that are really coming in hot with a strong brand and a unique product seem to be doing pretty well. So that's kind of that was the thought process behind jumping into this. Plus, we had a pretty cool idea for tweaking what is probably arguably the most popular accessory product in the market and making it way better. So that's what we did with the Clipper.
Awesome. So I'm not a weed guy, Matt. For the record, if anyone's listening out there, but seriously, but I bought a Lift Innovations Clipper, and I'm told I can use it for oregano for real.
If cooking, you want to.
So for the other me's out there, because I'm sure there's other people who just really aren't in this whole weed or medical cannabis space. Really quickly, just what is a grinder? What do you use it for?
Well, like most plant products, for those who do not dabble in said activities, it is a flower. You are consuming a flower, so it's typically going to come in a fairly dense bud, and for that reason you need something to break it apart. So it's there's been all types of different ways to do it over the different generations of users, but nowadays everybody runs the generally CNC machined aluminum kind of teeth on teeth 2 clamshell type design, and we've found about 35 different brands producing ultimately the exact same design, which is patented design, by the way, so goes to show how effective some of those are. There was just they all have the same problems because they all operate on the same design. And for the average user, it doesn't matter, but for some people that are a little more avid, then
so it takes the flour. It takes the flour. I didn't even know weed was a flour, so that's cool. I've learned something.
Yeah.
So it takes the flour, and it basically you grind it into a thing that you can use it in to roll into those little papers that you see in the movies, and or put in a pipe or whatever it is people do with it.
Well, now there's so many the U.S. market now in your legal environments. Raw material accounts for less than 40% of the market.
Really?
Yeah. Now there's 1,000,001 different ways of doing this, and there's 1,000,001 different ways of post-processing that material into something new. So some people do that at home. Some people are buying commercial off-the-grade or off-the-rack options. So yeah, it's like one process of 1,000,000 that people are pretty much doing now.
I got to ask about the legal aspects of this because, at first glance you think, well, this is like an illegal device.
Yeah.
Well, is it or isn't it? Or how do you navigate the legal bits of this? Are there places you can't sell this, and what sort of precautions do you guys have to deal with?
Yeah, ultimately, there are like many laws. Depending on how you interpret them, you can look at it a few ways. There is American legislation against drug paraphernalia. This particular product has never been targeted by that. A lot of brands stick to marketing their products as purely naturopathic. There's hundreds of other herbs that are commonly consumed in some type of naturopathic manner. So you can stick to that branding, but now we do have a completely legal medical market in almost all of North America, the vast majority of Europe. So it does have its complete 100% legal applications there, and then, of course, a few of the different states in the state that are dropping for recreational use.
And I guess the new legislation coming up in Canada is going to be possibly helpful to you guys.
Yeah, we're not really sure. Like we did some research and looked into what the market in North America is growing in double-digit percentages over the last few years, and the only data that we ever found coming out of places that had policy shifts saw the whole industry, anything related, saw just an immediate, like, hard upturn. That'll probably balance out to a more, standard or realistic growth rate after that. But everything does see a pretty immediate, sharp boom.
Yeah. Well, from a startup perspective, we've seen now it's, yourself, Matt Olsen, Jesse Marr, Greg Moneta. You guys came together, and we've seen over the years, you guys have done a number of different startups, different successful businesses, and, you sort of, as you introduced in the same way Jesse introduced it, it's a business. It's about scaling. It's about growing. The Clipper itself, for those you can check out, we're going to have the link to the crowdfunding campaign on the podcast. You can check out the video. Check out the quality of design is amazing. It's a tier 1 product. You guys are in a cutting edge area.
Literally cutting edge.
Literally, the world. I think the legal stuff we've been seeing changing. We got Snoop Dogg raising hundreds of millions of dollars. We have Ziggy Marley raising hundreds of millions of dollars in these spaces. So this is, and the governments from a taxation perspective, raising hundreds of millions of dollars, and literally in a couple months, every quarter, it's getting pretty crazy. So. This is you're at the forefront of this industry, and you've decided to go down the crowdfunding path to get the momentum for this product. So, can you tell us a little bit about how did you why did you choose Indiegogo? Some of the competitors, and what are the goals of the crowdfunding campaign?
Well, we chose, so Indiegogo and Kickstarter are definitely your primary platforms, and we did go with Indiegogo for a few reasons. One of them was just that we were really in a time crunch for launch date, and we knew we were going to be pretty far in advance.
What does that mean, Matt? You had 2 weeks to go until you wanted to launch, or 3 days? What's crunch mean?
So from the time that we wrapped up the video to pressing launch on our hard date of November 24th was like 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We were there, we were at the shop for 36 hours straight. Jesse didn't sleep for at least 20 straight to finish that up. So we skipped the Kickstarter approval process. Kickstarter does not instantly, you're not live the minute you hit go. Indiegogo you are, and we knew we were going to be in that time crunch. And then there was a few other issues that we just wanted to steer clear of when it came to Kickstarter. So we chose to do Indie, and it's a Canadian platform, which is always nice.
Hey, there you go.
Do you think you'll follow up with a Kickstarter campaign? Because I know some companies do both.
No, honestly, I know because our product really does not require any big tooling expenses or anything. Like, we can produce as many of these things as we want. Obviously, if we produce more, the economies of scale are a little bit better. But we want to use this as something that's going to add to the valuation of our company. We have a laundry list of additional things that we want to build and want to get cracking on right away. We started with the Clipper because, it's completely machined and laser cut. Like, there's no hard, intense fixed costs associated with producing this thing.
Smart.
So yes, it's a premium product for that reason, but we could, rip that thing apart, injection mold it with some really awesome plastics, over mold it with some rubber and, aluminum and steel inserts. And we could now make a more accessible version for a retail price of $35.
So what's a minimum order quantity on something like this? So you guys are out there raising $25,000 campaign. How many units does that equal, give or take? Just a ballpark.
That'll
if
be
you sell the 25,
200 and some.
200 and some units.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you guys have an MOQ that you're working with from a supplier where you got to hit 200 to make those numbers jive, or how much stress is there in setting the amount that you crowdfund correlated to the amount that you have to order from an MOQ perspective, et cetera?
Well, we made our first production or pre-production run was only 50 units.
Yep.
And at the prices we have now, it still has some viable margin, like from a direct to consumer perspective. Like there's obviously no margin for retail there. There's no margin
Right.
for distribution, but we still would, if we were producing with our exact same rates, which is 50 pieces or 50 units making up, 250 parts, we'll say.
And in all the looking around you've done, is that sort of standard where you have a retail price you set now, you're stuck with the retail price, and you're working backwards. So what's interesting right now, you have the margin you make, it's at least margin, but now you guys have to get to the MOQ levels where you can build out the extra margin that's really for the retailers. Yeah,
we're pretty much moving from a retail back sort of thing. Yeah, like we're doing a direct consumer model, straight e-commerce.
Yeah.
As our economies of scale progress, we can go into distribution direct from us to North American retailers, and then hopefully just move right into the major distribution channels and then have to not deal with that at all.
Awesome.
So right now, as of this morning, I checked the campaign around 10 grand. So not even a week here, and you've seen some tremendous progress. The 30-day mark looks well within attainability. So for the listeners, again, we have the links in the SoundCloud details here. Check it out. Jesse does a great job of presenting the product. And good luck to you guys. And we want to follow up post-close and talk more about your experience with the funding and the next steps for the Clipper and Lift.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good having you on, Matt.
Thanks for being here.